Makes up. Well, this past weekend,
Hi.
if you don't mind,
Just fixing my hair.
That's right. You just look so good. Over 100 personal photos from female celebrities like Jennifer Lawrence and Kate Upton. They were stolen from their cloud-based accounts, and then they were released on the internet.
Oh, isn't this so creepy?
It is really, really creepy, and many of those photos show the stars in obviously a pretty provocative way.
Yeah, yes, as
that
in
a delicate
no
way?
clothes.
No clothes. They weren't
Sans
wearing
clothes.
clothes.
Okay, so here to explain how this happened and offer some advice on making your own photos and passwords more secure, TCL tech producer Christian Unser is here with us. Hi, Christian. Okay, so what happened here? How'd they get into this?
So basically what happened, and obviously there's a lot of sort of he said, she said stuff flying around between the different companies, but it sounds like a lot of these celebrities had their photos on iCloud, which is Apple's service. And the hackers used what's called a brute force attack, which basically means they tried 1 million passwords until they got it. Oh. And they managed to sort of circumvent that thing that keeps you from only trying it like 3 times, so that it would just sit there and rotate through passwords until it hit on the right one. I've also heard that some of those passwords might not have been that hard to crack.
Right.
So
a lot of people are using things that, like passwords that other people would know.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, and that's kind of what we wanted to talk about here today, is there are some ways to, obviously not everyone is going to be a target like Jennifer Lawrence is for something like this, but at the same time, there are some pretty simple ways that you can make just everything more secure.
Yeah, that's, I think, a very important thing.
Yeah, and to be clear, whether or not you're taking nude photos, which happens to be the highlight here, we all take a lot of photos and store information on the cloud, and I think we all feel if they found any photo without our consent, we would feel violated.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And
that's
people
kind of
might see what I ate yesterday.
Exactly, or even like where you live, if that's not something that you really want to show to a lot of people.
Absolutely,
that can be on there.
Totally.
So, so what I've come up with, I'm going to call the 4 B's of online security. Okay, and we'll start with the first one, which is be creative. So that's one of the first things I wanted to talk about. And the way that I mean be creative is be creative with your passwords. One of the things that I've talked about on the show before is coming up with, I think it's really good to come up with a passphrase, to use a sentence instead of a word for your password.
Okay.
For example, a song lyric. Those are the things that I always kind of recommend, because those are things that are easy for me to remember, yet they're nearly impossible to guess. Plus you could even go so far as to change up the song lyric, make it a little incorrect. That way, even if they got the song lyric right, you changed a word in it. So now it doesn't.
So if you love like the Beatles song, I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Right, I want to hold your
paw.
Sure. And that would be a way that, like, even if they got that you like the Beatles and somehow came up with this lyric, they wouldn't know that you had made that change. But that would be easier to remember.
Yes.
So that's one way to do it. The other way, I really like this program called 1Password, which I've talked about on the show before.
You talk about this,
which basically allows you to only have to remember 1 password, and then all of your other passwords are stored within that app.
So essentially you have an app on your phone or your tablet, and you just know the password to that. My mom needs
crazy
this desperately.
password.
But you should make that password difficult.
Yeah, that one can be a crazy password that no one could ever guess, but then all the rest of them are contained within there. It'll even generate like random ones for you if you don't want to come up with a phrase for everything.
Wow.
So that's my first one. The next one is be sneaky. So the reason I like this one is this is one of those things that seems so obvious to me, but I don't know if other people think of it. When computers say something like, what's your mother's maiden name? As a security question, which is one of the things that happened with this hacking thing that happened. You don't have to actually put in your mother's maiden name.
But you feel like you need to tell the truth.
You don't. And all it's looking for is a word. So it could be a different name. It could be your cat's name. It could be whatever you wanted, as long as you can remember what you did to answer that question. They don't have to know what your mother's maiden name is.
Because how easy is it for someone to know your mother's maiden name? It's so easy.
You know what I'm thinking right now, and maybe this is a bad idea, but because I've forgotten sometimes security answers, because they have different security questions if you want to go away from it, you could make the same answer to every question.
Doesn't matter.
You remember it.
Yeah. Now, you've got to be careful when you start doing things like that, because if someone would ever figure that out, but at the same time, odds are people are probably not going to figure that out.
You mean like if I said it on TV?
Right. Try not to say a password on TV. This next one here is be paranoid. That's a big one for when you get an email that says, hey, we've lost your contact information. Can you please enter it? And it looks like it came from your bank or came from Apple or came from Microsoft. And it looks very official and there's graphics on it and it appears to do what it says it's going to do. There's no reason for a company to ask you for that information.
You know what I always do? If I get something, I will then, if I get something from like a credit card company or something, then I go to my bill and I call back the number that's on the bill. I don't call the number that's on the email. Because I figure then they would just set up a fake phone number and then I would call them and they would be the scammers.
The companies know not to send you those emails. They won't do it. So if you get one, it's not right. Also look for typos. That seems like a pretty obvious one, but a lot of times I see these very official looking emails from Apple saying enter all your information. There's like a big typo in the middle of it. It probably didn't come from Apple. You know, these are red flags. So that's what I'm saying. Be paranoid about this stuff.
Really quickly, be aware.
Be aware. So when your phone is specifically asking you for something like, why do I need to give my photos access to my GPS, or my photos, or this app access to my location. Just why is it asking me that? A lot of times I'll go on a website, it'll be like, what's your location? It wants to check your location. There's no reason for that
Just say
website.
no.
Just say no. You don't need to know that. You're not going to lose any functionality.
Eventually, this all comes back to just say no.
Just say no.
I like that.
Christian, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
These are good practical ways to kind of stay secure, do what you can. For a link to, by the way, that 1Password app that Christian mentioned, go to TwinCitiesLive.com. We've got that. Click on fun, because online security can be fun.
According to Christian. Okay, coming up next, we're going to reveal the winners of today's Grand Casino giveaway on Twin Cities Live.